Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Allison Rosen is your new best friend. I am very excited to welcome my guest to the show. This is someone that you would think I would have had on a long time ago because we're both podcasters. We're both interested in hearing about people's stories when they're being like very honest and very real. I'm going to guess we both don't love small talk. I'm going to get into all of that. But anyway, please put your hands together for the host of the long-running, very excellent podcast, Terrible Thanks for Asking, and author of numerous books, including most recently, and I'm holding it up to the camera, Bad Vibes Only, and Other Things I Bring to the Table. And if you'd like to see the cover of this, I mean, really go, anywhere where you buy books and purchase it, but also youtube.com/Allison Rosen, where you can see me holding up the cover and what's to come. Please put your hands together for Nora McInerny. Hello.
Hello. It's through all odds we made it here today. And by all odds, I mean technology odds.
What's interesting to me is you have mentioned to us that technology is conspiring against you,
yes,
but you haven't ascribed it to like Mercury being in retrograde or anything.
No, I don't live in LA, so I can't tell you. Anytime someone's like, "Oh my God, Mercury," I'm like, "What? Like, what are you saying about?" I assume it's always in retrograde. My friend Kate Kennedy described astrology as being like a group photo. You're only ever looking at yourself. And that's what it feels like.
So true. That's so good. Have you ever had this happen? Because this has happened to me more than once. Yeah. But let me just quickly say hello. Tony Thaxton, hello and welcome.
Oh, hi. You keep me on the edge of my seat.
I know.
The intro comes at like just such random times now.
I'm very seat of my pants.
Yeah.
Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that, okay, Nora, let me explain this to you too. And then we're getting to something, I have a point about astrology. But anyway, I used to be able to do intros like the professional podcaster I am. And then sometime during the pandemic, my ability to do an intro like went out the window. And I don't even know what happened. I couldn't remember what order I'm supposed to do it in. And it became comically clumsy. And then miraculously, my ability to do them came back. And I feel like I've now gotten a few good ones under my belt. But then with yours, I said, put your hands together. And then where I should have said your name, I'm like, no, I've got to give the credits first. And then I did the credits. And then I said, put your hands together again. So there were two, like everyone, their hands were just hovering.
Tony was with,
I know. Where are you with your ability to do intros? Have you maintained it?
I don't do them.
Oh.
I don't do them, Allison. I don't do I have time between an interview and the writing for that reason, because there's no way I could possibly do one. Okay. And I would sit down with you and we would talk about everything else. And then we would run out of time and I would say, oh no, I think we're supposed to be recording a podcast. So I have to have a specific roadmap for where I'm going and I can't deviate from it. And I don't think I could read an introduction without reading it. I've never done it without reading it, to the point where when I write even a live show, a live performance, the first thing I write is, hi, I'm Nora McInerny. As though I could forget, because I would.
Do you have notes? Do you have notes with you when you do a live performance?
Oh, yeah. I mean, our live performances of the podcast are, like a produced show with lighting cues and media and like recorded audio, pre-recorded audio, and some video elements. And so, yeah, I have to have notes for it. Even if I have done the same, like technically the same show 20 or 30 times, it will literally never be the same, because 5 minutes before I go on, I'm rewriting it and being like, actually. Like,
right. Yeah. I think that there are probably plenty of people who would be like, Allison, listen to what she's saying. You would benefit so much from having a script. But no, I refuse. I just refuse. I make notes sometimes and then I don't look at them.
I admire that in people. I really do. I think that's the sign of a completely differently functioning brain. And some might say a superior brain.
Oh,
but to be able to just say, to be able to sit down and be like, no, I'm talking to Nora McInerny for my podcast and I'm going to know what we're going to say. And there's no way that this conversation is going to devolve into a conversation about the exchange rate of Kohl's cash to US dollars, which,
but it might. It might. Yeah. I mean, okay. Well, now I'm getting all over the place. Let me just go back to what I was going to say. Have you ever had this experience, which I have, which is going to a therapist or someone who you respect and admire and, appreciate their input on your life. And then all of a sudden they're like, should we look at our horoscopes? Because this has happened to me like a couple of times. And I'm like, I'm just going to compartmentalize this because I like everything else you're saying.
Like you're at the gynecologist and she's like, are you in Aries?
I'm like, what gave it away?
And by the way, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Someone once asked me to like contribute to their astrology page that I follow and love and think is so funny, as though I have anything to say about actually being a Capricorn. I have no idea. If you told me anything and you were like, that's such a Capricorn thing to be tall, I'd be like, isn't it? I'm like,
yes.
What? I'm only, if I get those emails, I'm scrolling right to me and I'm absorbing almost nothing except what comforts me. Anything that feels off, I'm like, oh, that must be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably some other kind of moon rising.
Yeah.
Well, when I was young, I remember I first look at mine and then I would look at the horoscope for whatever guy I had a crush on.
Oh, yeah. It's me too. Me too. And you just think, were any of them thinking of us even a fraction of that amount of time?
No. And also, whenever I would go to a fountain where people would, make a wish and throw coins, those were always about these guys. And I don't think anyone ever spent a dime on me.
Oh, I was having a conversation with someone earlier today where they were saying their therapist was encouraging them, like all therapists do now, to like have compassion for your past self and like the children who live within you. And I'm like, I am mostly like, you little idiot. Like you just wasted 6 quarters on Andy Hannon.
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I know. Right. Because you start with the small coins. Yeah. But if all you have is quarters, you got to invest.
They're going in. If you still haven't been kissed and it's 10th grade, I'd throw in a Susan B. Anthony dollar if I had it.
Yes. Do you remember, did you ever have a $2 bill? Not for fountains, but just for collection.
I've got 4. I don't want to open myself up to a breaking and entering situation, but we have 4 $2 bills in this household right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could be worth $8. It could be worth like $8 and a few cents. Because
we don't know.
What we were told, and now I think Tony and I are a little bit older than you, but roughly same era of growing up.
Yeah.
We were told, hang on to them because this is rare and it's going to be worth something someday. And
Everything
I'm still waiting.
Yes. Everything was rare. Everything was about to be worth something. I only somewhat recently got rid of my baseball cards and I only collected 2 players because I collected based on looks.
Oh, so I know like nothing about baseball cards, but I like cute people. Who did you collect?
Yeah. David Justice, and Ken Griffey Jr. So
Tony, do you know them?
I do. I when I was a kid, I was very much into baseball cards, and that was my era. Yeah,
that was the era. So just binders of them, and then I would get a Beckett guide and look up the value of just those cards. I'd be like, I have cents worth of baseball cards. Right here. Everything was collectible.
Did you give them away or did you sell them?
I think I donated them. I'm pretty sure. It was in a situation where, I mean, so at this point, I don't know if it's that recent. We're talking like now. I also am in a time freeze. I don't know if you guys feel this way, where the year 2010 is 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
The year 2000 is 10 years ago.
Don't you
like somehow. And the year 1999 is also 10 years ago. And the year 1990 is 20 years ago max.
Yes.
So
you make that point in one of the essays in Bad Vibes Only that like you can now just casually refer to something that you just did and it turns out it was a full decade ago. This happens to me. Like, what new music have you been listening to? And then I'll mention a band. I'll be like, oh, their album came out 15 years ago. But to me, it's new.
But it's fresh. It's fresh and I still love it. I still get a thrill when it comes up. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. It wasn't recent at all that I did that. I was literally in 2 different decades of life. No, I was 30, I feel like. I was 30. And that was 10 years ago. Wow. Goddamn.
I know.
But I kept everything. Okay. I kept everything, Allison. I kept everything. I was like, this could be worth something someday.
But even the things I have that could be worth something, and I don't even know what they are, but I just feel at various times of my life, I'll like Google and be like, oh yeah, that's worth a little something or other. Like I don't intend to sell. I don't know what am I holding? I mean, what am I expecting? Like when I have to pawn something because times have gotten tough. I think I wouldn't even know
how to pawn something. I'm so frightened of, I live in Phoenix, Arizona. We have pawn shops galore. You cannot go anywhere without being like, you want to pawn something? I don't know what it means. I just know it's frightening. And I literally don't know what it means to pawn something. But I also, of all the things I own, I also somehow have held on to things believing they have some sort of mysterious value. But also when it's time to get rid of something, I believe it has no value. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you are like this. There are people who like sell their like used, right? They're like clothing that they don't wear so much anymore. It's like very normal to do, right? Even like people do it on Instagram. People like we know will be like, oh, you can get these jeans. I'll send you these jeans for, and I'm like, I have sent people clothing from my closet for free because I'm like, I don't know, guys. I like, ew, like you complimented this sweater. Someone's selling you a sweater on Poshmark for $30. And I'm like, I already wore it. I'll just give it to you. But I'll buy stuff on Poshmark and be like, yeah, that's definitely worth $60. I can't find it anymore. J. Crew stopped making it. But if I own something, I believe it has somehow a lot of value and no value at once.
Right. Yes. I don't think of my clothing as pieces. So I don't sell my pieces. But also to me, having to box it up and take it to one of the best things of being married for me is that my husband handles putting things in boxes and sending them and going to the post office. Like it's one of there's just a few things and a lot of things that I dislike intensely. Back when going to Kinko's was a thing, I have like an unreasonable hatred for going to Kinko's, and I worked as a journalist, and this was like when you had to make copies of articles and send, if you wanted to write for a new publication, you would send them your clips. It wasn't all an online thing. Yeah. So I periodically have to go to Kinko's and make new copies. And it was like my least favorite thing when I was applying to college, having, paper. I think I hate paper, and cardboard is paper. The whole thing. So even if I could make, $25 from selling a t-shirt or a sweater or whatever, I think dealing with it would be such a pain.
You should have married me because I will go to the post. I love an errand.
Really?
I love an errand so much. I love going to Kinko's. I love getting a stack of paper. Like when I edited that book, you just
Bad Vibes Only.
It can all be done on a computer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I better print it. And I'll go to Kinko's and be like, let's talk papers. What are your paper options? Let's feel them all out. Oh, I'll come back in an hour. So it's a double errand. Great. Okay. I love going to the post office. The longer the line, the better. I'm like, hey, slow down. It's okay. It's okay. Don't rush.
Here's the question, though. Okay, so you're doing your edits on paper for Bad Vibes Only, which I do understand that. Like sometimes it's just easier to see things.
Yes.
I would even though I will sometimes read digital version of a book, I like to be able to flip back and forth and so I do like having a hard copy of something. But you got papers everywhere. I don't know if you ever are in a situation where papers are everywhere. And
if
now,
I turn this camera, you'd be like, your paper phobia would just be triggered. Okay.
And now it's time to like get up and do something else. Where do you leave all the papers? But I'm a very messy person, by the way. I know this is making it sound like I'm neat, but I'm very messy.
Yeah, I am too. And they'll be everywhere. And then I fall into a pit of despair because I've accumulated too many things, right?
Yeah.
Like, did I really need to? If I get a letter, like a bill in the mail, right? You can pay those online, but I'll keep it physically as evidence that I received it or something.
But then what do you do?
And I will literally write on it, paid with the date. It's all in a cloud somewhere, honey. They know you paid them.
No, but
like,
I feel
they got it.
That's good though. That's just good bookkeeping. But then do you like file it or just leave it on your desk? Because I would just leave it on my desk.
I leave it on my desk till I have like a full breakdown, so I already had one a little bit earlier. Like, because I can't see, sometimes I do feel like I can't see things on a screen. The minute I was like, you didn't email, I never got the link. I don't know how I missed it. Like, I did a search.
I should have sent you a hard copy of the link.
You should have emailed me. You should have mailed me the link, which is customary. People mail you. Typically, I get a letter with the link in it. I type it into the URL. Right. Very unprofessional of you. And then I have like a breakdown because there's too much paper or there are too many tabs open or, it's, but yeah, I don't know why paper is so comforting to me. I'm like, oh, now it's real. Now something is real. Maybe.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I get that. I feel like it's only recently that I don't distinguish between actual gift card or digital gift card. Because it used to feel like a digital gift card was like it's just not the same.
I don't think I still, to this day, if you send me a digital gift card, no, you didn't. I have no idea what it is.
It's with the link.
It's with the link. I'm like, no, mail it to me. I want that piece of plastic. Let's fill a landfill with these little plastic cards. I have no idea how to redeem an online gift card. Are you serious?
Oh.
Do you? Do you know how?
I do. Yeah.
I already feel like my grandchildren are already like making fun of me and they don't even exist yet.
Well, it's crazy. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they know their way around phones and tablets. And I mean, I'm not saying anything people don't know, but like, it's crazy how intuitive that is for them. And we have more of a challenge. And we were before we started, we were just talking about parents asking us the most like specific tech questions that don't quite make sense to us. Like, we're their tech help. And here I am talking about my kids will be mine.
Already.
Yeah.
And also it's like, I don't know if you've gotten to this age yet. My 6-year-old doesn't quite do this yet, but he's my youngest. But like our 10-year-old, definitely our teenager will be like, oh, and like we'll grab it from you, or be like, oh, and I'm like, what do you think you're going to click that I haven't clicked yet? Like they'll like take the Apple remote from me and be like, oh, I'll do it. I'm like, what, you'll talk to Siri in a way that I haven't figured out yet. It's so, ooh.
I don't have that yet, but I do have Elliot handing me his iPad needing help in like Minecraft or something. And I'm like, you know more about this than I do.
I can't even look at Minecraft. I get like motion sickness and it means so much to them. They're like, come on, like, I want to show you something. I'm like, oh, wow. They're like, no, that's bad. I'm like, oh no, then no. So tell me how to react.
Terrible. Thanks for asking. You've taken it independent, right?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me how you started the podcast. And so I'm now asking you 2 questions in one. I want to know about your experience.
It's all connected. It's all connected.
Okay,
and
great.
This is the Patreon one, right?
This is the everyone one.
Okay, this is the everyone one. Okay.
Yeah.
So I started Terrible Thanks for Asking in what I did not know were what was I think maybe the best era to be starting something, because there weren't a million podcasts. There were merely 100,000 podcasts at that time. There were merely 100,000. And my first book, I just turned in my first book. It's Okay to Laugh, Crying is Cool Too. And I had become suddenly unemployed after my husband Aaron died. And I had started to cobble together like a freelance career. And I wrote poorly paid essays for online publications where, you're like laboring over something and then you have to invoice 7 times for $100 6 months later. And I was doing like freelance copywriting for whoever needed me to write literally everything. I turned in the book. I had become kind of because Aaron and I wrote his obituary together and it went viral. Mm-hmm. It is we revealed his identity as Spider-Man. I had started to get so many messages from other people, and I got them kind of constantly after the obituary came out. And it was messages from people all around the world, and some of them had dead husbands and dead dads and, had lost pregnancies, but a lot of them had been through something completely different and were reaching out to me, a complete stranger on the internet, with these long, like DMs or emails or Facebook messages that were deeply, deeply revealing, saying, I've never told this to anyone. I don't know who to tell this to, so I'm going to tell you. And I just kind of realized, oh, why are these people telling me? Because for whatever reason, they feel like they can't tell the people around them. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, what was I telling the people around me, my close friends and family? I was telling them that I was fine. Mm-hmm. I was telling them I was fine and I didn't need any help and I didn't need to talk about anything. And meanwhile, I was having truly the worst year of my life. Had never been to therapy.
So how did you even know what sign you were?
Exactly. Okay. Believed I didn't need to go because, and this is in my first book, what would a therapist tell me? That I'm sad?
I know so many people who have attitudes like that.
Literally wrote a whole chapter in my first book about how much I did not need therapy.
Wait, was it it was a sincere chapter? Like at that point you
chapter,
truly
100%.
Okay, so you truly believed you didn't need therapy.
I was like, I bet that could help some people. Not me. Okay. Not me. So, I've just been like bathing in cortisol for, 4 years straight. Like, what could be wrong?
Just to catch people up on what was happening in your life, and of course, jump in if I get anything wrong. But you had a miscarriage, your husband died of brain cancer, and then your dad died, all in the space of some months. Yes.
Yeah, it was October 3rd. I had a DNC. I found out the pregnancy was not anymore on October 2nd. And the next morning I went in for a DNC, and 5 days later, my dad died. He was in the ICU with like cancer, generic cancer. I don't know what kind of, literally a lot of things were happening. And then 6 weeks after that, Aaron died. And Aaron had been sick with glioblastoma, stage 3 glioblastoma, for 3 years. And I had an almost 2-year-old, and I was 11 weeks and 6 days pregnant, which is like, you believe that if you can just get to if you just got to 12 weeks, if I could literally just not gone to the doctor on the 2nd, on the 3rd, I would have been fine. And, so obviously I wasn't fine, obviously I wasn't fine. And, I did end up going to therapy, and I did end up basically having this realization about all those messages, which is these people were reaching out to me because they did not have the space to talk about this in their real life. And if the people in their real life knew how they felt, they would really want to do something, right? Mm-hmm. Like they would maybe be so crushed to know that they felt this way, that they felt so alone, or that their loved ones had failed them in some way, or that nobody understood them. And I literally took that inbox, and Terrible Thanks for Asking, the title was a rejected book title because my publisher thought it was too negative for a book where my husband dies in like the first 5 pages.
Right.
So
I think it's a good title, and I think you have been proven correct.
I thought so too. So I was like, fine, I'll use it for something else. And I brought it to our local public radio station and was like, do you guys know how to make podcasts? I actually went on Twitter and said, does anyone in Minnesota, where I lived at the time, know how to make a podcast?
And did they?
And someone did. And it just sort of like went from there. And this past summer, I got to leave that organization with my show and my work, which
it's amazing.
Yes, it is. It really is. So I'll ring in the 7th year as an independent podcast creator, which is what I should be and what I tell most people they should be too.
I do too.
Yeah.
How has the transition been?
It has been like what I imagine taking off, like, when you take the weighted vest, when you take the weighted vest off at the dentist after they give you, Yeah. And you're like, whoa, have I always been this spry?
Buoyant? Yeah.
Have I always been able to breathe this easy? It feels really, really good. It feels really, really good. And I've just had a lot of realizations about, I was really afraid for a long time that I wouldn't be able to do this job anymore. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to cry because this is the longest I've ever held any job.
Aw.
I've never been employed for longer than like 18 months somewhere. And making this is like, it does feel like my life's work, and it feels like the most important work that I can do outside of, interpersonal relationships, like the most important, like career-wise work that I could possibly do. And I love it so much. And I just feel so relieved and so grateful. And I'm also learning a lot.
Like
I'm
what?
learning a lot. Like just there's so many annoying things. There's so many annoying things. And there were things that I didn't know because I couldn't know them, because I was a contractor, mm-hmm. or because, it was someone else's job to know that. And so like it wasn't institutionally passed down to like me specifically, but like, I mentioned that like technology conspires against me. But like you just have to do so many small, annoying tasks to get a podcast mm-hmm. into somebody else's phone. You really do. Like,
yes. Now,
you really do.
I know that when I went from being on a network to independent, originally I was like, how am I going to book the show? That's going to be really hard. And for the most part, that was much easier than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. Did you have someone booking before and now you're doing it, or like, how's that go?
Do you feel this way, Allison? Like we're both creative people, right?
Yes.
Like we are writers. We are energetic, creative people. I have known this for a long time, but yesterday, my husband just said it to me. Like he said it like it was a fact that he just said it so flippantly. He was like, he's like, you're not a good manager. You're just a really good, like, you're really good at the creative stuff. Like, you're not a man. I was like, how many times do you have to say that I'm not a manager? And like, why are you saying it as though like the gang all talked?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like Nora, as you know, you would not be endorsed for management on LinkedIn. Like Nora, as you know, and I'm not. I'm used to just sort of like, like I spend so much time alone. Like writing books is very solitary. Like even writing episodes of the podcast, we do narrative interview. So it's like, I'll do an interview and then, you go into the tape and you pick the tape you like, and then you write around it. And a lot of it is so private, right? Mm-hmm. You just do it on your own. And then you look up and you're like, oh, I forgot to tell anyone what I was doing or why.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, deadlines are not my strength. I can meet any deadline. I literally just need to be told what to do and when it is due. Mm-hmm. And you know how people like fantasize, or like the internet is filled with people being like, be your own boss and like you'll never, or do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Which is bullshit, by the way. Even though I like working for myself.
But I love working for myself. And also I'm like, I've never had a worse boss. Like yeah. Like Allison, it's a beautiful day out. Did I leave this room today? Like,
I'm going to guess no.
No, I'm like,
yeah.
I act like I'm in a cubicle and there's like someone standing behind me, like looking at my laptop. Like,
yeah, I know. I go outside because I walk from the house to the studio, which is in a little back house, but
that's the dream.
I don't go out. Other than that, I don't really go outside. Yeah. I'm not a real outdoorsy person. And I was what was I reading? Something about how important it is for us to get a certain amount of outdoors time every single day, maybe for our vision, or I don't know. But wait, there's I was going to say about being a good manager. Like I know about myself, but it's like what you're saying is ringing a bell. I do think when I learned this about myself, I do think maybe it was something casual that my husband said, like, oh, I didn't know it was that obvious. And now I've come around to realizing managing people is like, and that whole thing is like, it's a very specific skill that I do not have. And I think and I know it a bit because my husband has had people who work under him, and I've heard him talk about, well, it's important to let them know, or whatever. It's like a whole way of, because I'm so concerned with, I want to make sure what I say doesn't hurt anyone's feelings and comes across the right way, and and like, it's a much different conversation that he's having regarding it.
Yes.
I mean, of course, he doesn't want to be unkind, but that's not that's not that's not a prison he lives inside.
Oh, and I absolutely do. I'm like, oh, do you want me to do that job for you? I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine. Honestly, I won't even ask you. It's okay. It's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'm not a good manager. I'm not a good communicator for somebody who like communicates, right? Like publicly, like to the point where my husband this has happened fewer times, but he definitely has been like, you're leaving for a work trip? And I'm like, yeah, tomorrow. Like, where have you been? Like,
wait, do you guys have like a joint calendar or anything?
Yes.
And I said, okay, you just didn't put it in. You put it on the wrong calendar.
I put it on the wrong calendar. And then he's like, do you really think that I should be checking a calendar to see what you're doing? And I'm like,
yes.
Yeah, a little bit. As your manager, I think yes. I would like you to manage up. Okay.
Are you, this is a game that I'm going to call, are you the Daniel or are you the Allison in your relationship? Because my husband's Daniel. Are you forgetful?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You might be the Daniel.
Yeah. Ooh,
interesting. Like in what way does the forgetfulness manifest?
I mean, I have ADHD where when I don't keep myself on a schedule, right? When I don't I have a calendar on that wall. I have 4 months of paper calendars that are different colors, huge, like 2 feet by 3 feet with color coded Post-its on it. Every day I look at my calendar, I write down everything I'm going to do with color coded meetings between it. If I ever just try to freestyle a day, I will absolutely be sitting here and my husband will text me, and I always get offended when he does. He'll be like, you're picking up the kids, right? And if I'm actually on my way to pick them up, I'll be so offended.
Yeah.
But I literally will be like, what kids? Oh my God. like what? The 2:30 comes at you fast. So like that kind of forgetful, or I will literally leave to go to Target and then I'll come back and be like, I didn't get any of the things I went for, but I have 4 new combs. So that's good.
Yes. So like I'll say to Daniel, can you give Wendy, that's our dog, her medicine at 10:30? And I'll say, set a timer or set a reminder. And then I'll come in from being in the studio at 11:30 and he'll be like, oh, I forgot to. And I'm like, I thought you set a timer. He's like, no, I wrote it down. Thinking he would just, I'm like, oh, like he actually just acquiesced. And now he is setting timers because it was like a series of things, like 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
Where it's like, but writing it down is because you're going to not think about it. I constantly have a lot of things in my head that I'm like trying to make sure I'm not forgetting and trying to also make sure Daniel's not forgetting. And it's just like it's why I don't have a happy look on my face.
Yeah.
There's just a constant to do in my head.
You're the Matthew. Okay. Matthew is the Allison. Allison's the Matthew. Nora's the Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel's the Nora. That is hard. Matthew says all day, every day, he's thinking about everything that needs to be done, everything that will need to be done.
Yes. It's another term.
It's mental load.
There you go. Ding, ding,
mental load. But I carry one mental load, which is I know when his parents' birthdays are, I'm buying those gifts, and I will then take any small thing I do. I made the bed every day this week, and I was like, did you like getting into a made bed? He's like, yes, I love when you do basic adult tasks. I also wipe down the sink. So like I clean the bathrooms on the weekend, which is like my zen
Really?
I love cleaning a bathroom. I will come clean anyone's bathroom. I love it. I'm like, spray, scrub, rinse, wipe. Oh, so good. And then like the small things that I do, I really do like hold up. I need a lot of praise for also. I am literally every TikTok I see that's like, husbands are the worst. I'm like, I'm the husband. I'm sorry. I'm a bad husband.
The question is he watching those TikToks?
No, luckily, he doesn't have TikTok. Luckily, the man does not enjoy scrolling the internet. He will use the internet simply to do something very specific, find out something specific, but never just like as a passive entertainment source.
He is the perfect person.
I know. Gross.
I do want to ask a question. Now, I know that you have talked about experiencing the loss of your first husband a lot. So I don't want to like make you recapitulate stuff that's already out there.
Yeah.
But I am curious about meeting Matthew and sort of what that was like. And I feel like I saw an Instagram that you
last
had made.
night. Yeah.
No, but it was longer ago. There was an Instagram or like a reel or a TikTok or something that you made where it was like questions that you get asked a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, because I want to ask some of those. So I apologies if and I will tell you what I'm like, the thing I'm wondering about, but apologies if this is like a question that makes you go like, God, why are people asking me these fucking annoying questions? I guess I'm just wondering, what is that like, losing the love of your life and then falling in love again? And do you compare them?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, of course. Right. Yes and no. Like, because it's kind of like if you have it's not the same as children, right? People, no matter what you say, people hate, there's no good comparison.
Right.
There's no good comparison because it's so strange. But people love to say, right, like, well, you can love more than one kid, right? Do you love your 4-year-old less than your 6-year-old just because he's the second one?
Right.
And the answer is yes, you do. I know it.
Yeah. But it's unique. I mean, he just has, there's a lot about him. I don't have a lot all day, but no, you know what though? Actually, so we had the perfect dog. It was adorable. Yeah. He was perfect. He was everything you could want in a dog. That's our first dog, Oliver. And then, tragically, he died very young. It was awful. It happened very publicly in that I was a public person, so I shared it all publicly. Yeah. A lot of people grieved with us. And then now and he died before he turned 2. And now we have Wendy, who is also perfect, but not as perfect. But I love her just as much.
Yeah. It's just different, right? Yeah. Everything's different. And I really struggled with this because I struggled with the idea of other people's judgments, and I struggled with my own judgments around this too, because my idea of love had always been small.
How do you mean?
Like, even when I met Aaron, I was like so jealous of his ex-girlfriend, right? I was so jealous of her.
I have felt that in relationships before.
So jealous of her. And I was always jealous, right? And I remember he was just like, okay, like, I mean, we broke up. That's why we're not together. I was like, but she's prettier than me. Like, she's prettier. I'm tall. She's taller than me. I'm fine. She's like a 10. She's so pretty. She's so nice. Everyone likes her. Like, I now know her. She's like the perfect person, Allison. She's so lovely. Everyone loves her. And Aaron was like really, I think in a lot of ways, like my first real love. Like the first time I had experienced love where I wasn't like, but are you sure you like me? Are you sure? Are you
right.
sure? Like it was just so safe. It was so comfortable. He liked me so much. I'm going to cry now because he was the first boy who really liked me, liked me and liked things about myself that I didn't even notice or like think were like a thing.
He saw you.
And he really did. And like, he's why I wrote, I wrote my whole life. And he was the only boy I ever dated who read a fucking word. And he read every word, even the dumb ones, and was like, cool. He's like, you're a writer. That's so cool. I was like, no, I'm not. I do something else. He's like, no, you are. And I really I truly wrestled with this for a whole entire book. No Happy Endings is about this. And Aaron died and I literally was like, okay, that's enough. Like, that's good. I'm good. Like, if you get that once in a lifetime, you're so lucky. Who could get it twice? I literally thought, I will find a person who will satisfy me sexually sometimes. Maybe I'll let him shovel the walkway if he's really feeling like it. He's never going to meet my kid. He'll never live with me. I'll never go out to a movie with him in public. I'll have to go to a suburb no one's ever heard of.
Because you felt like, is that about people's judgment or your own?
I just didn't have anything in me. I literally was like, I left it all in the field. I left it all in the field, and I just can't imagine cultivating that with another person. I can't imagine another person like igniting that within me. I can't imagine it being worth it. Honestly, I just can't. And like 50 weeks after Aaron died, so like almost a year, I randomly meet Matthew, and I am in no way, shape, or form interested in or ready for any kind of romantic relationship. And he was, so I literally just had him ask me out because I just thought like, we'll have sex. And we did. And that
must have been weird.
He just, no, the physical part of like, this is another weird thing about grief and something that widows are always really, really sensitive about. What does this mean about me? Right? Like, what does this mean about me? My like husband died or my wife died. And I literally just want to like go out and like get under someone. And I get it. Like, you want to feel something. You want to, especially if you've been in a prolonged state of like stress and grief, like, of course, and no judgment for that, literally at all. And it doesn't mean anything about your other relationship. And this is all going to connect. This is all going to tie together. But before Aaron died, one of my friends, her husband had died of brain cancer just a few weeks, like a few weeks into like her widowhood, I guess. She had texted me and she was like, I'm going out with a dude and I'm going to bang him. And I was like, okay. And I literally was like, I repeat this to Aaron, right? I'm like, can you believe that she's about to go do this? And he was like, he was so like grossed out by my judging her.
Interesting.
He was like, well, why are you judging her for that? Like,
right.
What does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with like her dead husband? Like you don't know how she feels because I'm not dead. And I was holding that up, right? Like my superiority, like, look how much I love you. I wouldn't even think of this. And I think that he was showing me a mercy for my future self, which is you do not know what you will need. You don't know what you will need because you haven't been there. So why don't you shut the fuck up and stop judging a person for something you've never experienced yet?
Yeah.
And yet, judge myself I did. But I have said, and I thought like, oh no, there's no comparing the two, right? They're their own good thing. They're their own good thing. And they're such different things. Just like every single person is a different person. Every relationship you have is a different person. But I've compared them in like moments where I've like where I've argued with Matthew. Matthew's not Aaron, and I'm not the same Nora. Matthew didn't get the same Nora. So Aaron and I never argued because I was different, right? Like it just was like a completely different version of myself. And who's to say that we wouldn't have?
Right.
Who's to say that we wouldn't have if he had not gotten sick? But like there was nothing to fight about because really what mattered, And it's not to say that we had like some perfect marriage and we like literally never argue, but our arguments were like so low stakes. It was like, I want you to take out the garbage. And he was like, I will. And I was like, literally the fuck now, dude, it's overflowing.
Yeah.
like, like you have brain cancer, but you're not dying today. So like, get out there. So, yeah, I mean, the process of it, people are very curious about it. And I understand that, Allison. Like, I understand. It's like, but how? How could you do it? I don't know. It's like,
how could you do what?
How could you do it? How could you possibly really think you can love both people? Doesn't like this love for this guy who's in the other room sort of like negate your love for Aaron.
Oh, see, I don't think that, but
or like, are you sure you love him? Like, are you sure you do? Like, or if Aaron came back, like, what would you do? What would you do? And I
think that was maybe in that Instagram. Yeah, what happened?
That's always right. Mm-hmm. I always have dreams like that, or like, oh, in heaven, who would you be married to? Like, first of all, in heaven, I'm not fucking married. In heaven, in heaven, I am with John Cena, and we have an open relationship.
Yeah, but, of course.
Yeah. In heaven, I'm with my third husband, John Cena. We're going to speak that into existence. But I do have dreams like that, Allison Olive dreams, where like Aaron comes back and I'm so excited to see him and it feels so real. And I hug him and I like kiss him and I hold his face and I'm so excited to see him. And then I go,
yeah,
oh shit, I'm married. Like I had no idea. So I got married and we have all these kids and he's like, okay. Like he's just like rolls right into it. Very, very open to a throuple. So
that's so good. That's so enlightened of him. He gets
it's so enlightened. Yeah. And he really was like, I mean, he was the life of the party. He was a person who really made you like, no matter what, like feel like you belonged like in a room, you know? Mm-hmm. And he made me feel that way when I was like so insecure and like just so shy. I literally cannot believe that I do the job I do now because I couldn't even stand up in front of my own peers at work and present my ideas without like breaking into hives and stuttering and being like, and that one's dumb and now I'm done. Like,
yeah, you said that he said that you're a writer and you thought you do this other stuff. What was the other stuff that you were doing at the time?
I worked at an ad agency where, and I don't know, I haven't worked in advertising in a long time. So, and I've burned all those bridges. So let's light a match. But, you know, the model was there are creatives and there are account people and there are project managers, but it was really creatives are like sort of like, you know, set on a pedestal and like, oh my God, they're going to come up with these ideas and, you know, they're so special. And like, if you aren't a creative, like nobody really cares. And I worked in like kind of a no man's land, which is like, I had started like a social media department in like, 2010 when people were like, I don't know, I think that's dumb. So I was like, here's the thing. Like I can write and you can't write headlines the way you write tweets. Like you can't write headlines or you can't write Facebook posts the way that you write headlines or radio spots, you know? I was literally, I spent a lot of time writing tweets for Great Clips. So yeah.
The haircut place?
The haircut place. Yeah. Home in the $7.99 haircut. Hopefully they're still doing it. I still take my boys to Great Clips. So, I think it's actually more than They do a $7.99 haircut sale from time to time. I love Great Clips. Great company to work with. Great family company.
You said that you had burned these bridges. So let's light a match. But in what way did you burn the bridges?
I think I've just talked a lot about how stupid and extremely sexist and extremely stupid those organizations have been. And I worked with men who were harassing women, mistreating women, talking extremely disrespectfully about women, having inappropriate relationships with women that they worked with.
It's very Mad Men.
Yeah. And I was like, you're in Minnesota and you wear cargo pants. So why don't you relax? You know, why don't you just like take it down a peg or two, or just like really extremely unhealthy work environments. Like I found this email from one of Aaron's bosses to him before he got sick that was like, guys, I don't know what to say. I came in on a Saturday and I was the only one here. Well, like no shit, dude.
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Like you're not doing like just the way that culture ran on fear and it ran on like, you better, that's probably why I still sit at a desk all day, right? Like you better show up, bill some hours, and I better see a button a desk to make sure that you're, you know, like doing good enough work. And I mean, when Aaron had a seizure, I went to the hospital. He had brain surgery 3 days later. And we did not all have laptops at work. We had desktops at this company, and somebody brought a laptop to the ER so I could work on a pitch deck during the brain surgery.
How thoughtful.
How thoughtful. How thoughtful.
What, do you remember what company it was for?
I do. And I won't say because I hope to work with them again in the future.
Okay.
Not the agency, but the company it was for. And then literally it's like I find out he's my boyfriend at the time. We're married 2 weeks after this diagnosis. I find out he has stage 4 brain cancer. And we Google it and we find out he has like 3 to 5 years to live. Mm. And the next day at 6 a.m., I'm in the parking lot of our agency in like a pencil skirt so that I can drive in the same car as a creative director and another account person and the president of our company or whoever to go pitch some new business. Mm. Like just no, and Aaron's company, by the way, like very humane, kindest people, like really, truly were so wonderful and humane through that. But like I left the agency I was at as fast as I could, fast as I could. I was like, there's no way that I will survive this working here.
Yeah.
There's no way. I'm going to lose my mind on someone and they're going to deserve it, but it won't matter.
And then like in person, how did they treat you that day? Do you remember?
I mean, no one talked about it, which was good. Like I remember when I went back to work, I'd sent an email to my boss that was like, I don't want to talk about it at work. I literally don't. And if that changes, I will let you know. Mm. But when I'm at work, I'm going to compartmentalize so hard and I never, ever want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And I walked into the kitchen my first day back and there's this guy and he goes, so I heard about your boyfriend. Is he going to die?
Oh my God.
And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. He's like, yeah, but like, I was like, well, we're all going to die. And he was like, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, what is it? And I was like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. And I don't know. It's just a company of like a bunch of like straight white men. All the creatives were just like straight white men who were really fucking rude and mean and like, I don't know. I'm sure I had like 1 or 2 friends, but like, I don't know. It's crazy stories like where you're just like, this was in the 2010s. You know what I mean? Like that, I can't believe that was 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that's how people were, but it was like an entire lifetime ago, like a literal entire lifetime ago. Yeah.
If you, and I'm sure this is a question you get asked, and I'm sure it's something you've thought about every now and then, and it's something there's no answer for. So what a wonderful question I'm about to ask you. But I'm just curious, if you hadn't, this thing had, okay, so the obituary goes viral. People see you as someone they can pour their heart out to. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you are receiving all this, people are sharing their worst moments with you, and you're like, there's a podcast here. If and all of that was born out of these tragedies you experienced. If that hadn't happened, what direction would you have gone? Would you have ultimately maybe ended up here anyway?
I think I would have ended up here anyways, Allison, but you and I would be talking about something completely different. And I would have still had a podcast and I would have still written a bunch of books and they just would have been about something different because I really have always had this inside of me. And I think for a while I was afraid, like maybe that's the thing. Like, is that what that's not what made, I don't know, I don't want to say special, but it's like, that's not the thing. Right. Mm-hmm. And maybe I would have just stayed writing tweets for Great Clips and I would have like climbed a specific corporate ladder and just like sort of lived in misery. Or maybe I would have started a ice cream company where I only sell twist cones. I only sell twist cones because why are there no machines? Anytime you can't find a good chocolate vanilla twist cone in my experience. Okay. McDonald's stopped making them. They're rare even now at Dairy Queen. Like you can get frozen yogurt that's chocolate vanilla, but not soft serve. I think that should be available at every restaurant.
Yeah. What is up with that?
Okay. I would have seen that hole in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And I would have filled it. I would have done something. We would be talking. It just wouldn't be about this. I do believe that.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on the twist cone thing because at every frozen yogurt place that's like, you can, out here we have like Menchie's and maybe Menchie's is everywhere where you can serve yourself. There's 2 flavors and then there's the nozzle in the center for the swirl. So what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, you cannot get soft serve that way anymore.
You can
Why not?
No, it's like you can get yogurt, right? It's frozen yogurt, but you know the vanilla. You don't want the tang of the yogurt.
Right.
You don't want that in the chocolate. You don't want the vanilla. You want like old-fashioned.
Soft ice cream.
Soft ice cream. You want the, like, even the McDonald's stuff had like a certain fluff to it. You know, and it's like, why would they take away twist cones? Why would they take away such a small joy?
Yeah.
Why?
Tony, do you have opinions about this? You're from the Midwest.
I hadn't thought about it in a while, but I have to completely agree. Because that was a staple of my childhood there. I remember that blowing my mind like the first time. I feel like was that always around, or is that something that like came about in the 80s? Because I feel like I have a memory of seeing it the first time and my mind being blown by it.
I feel like to me, it was always there. To me, that was a go-to treat. That was like, I can't imagine a world where someone was like, all I want is vanilla. I'd like, twist is where it's at. I don't know who, hopefully, Allison, you have like a big contingent of like higher ups at McDonald's who listen to this podcast and are huge fans.
I mean, I hope so. Please, if you know anything about this, please send in an anonymous message or sign it. ARIYNBFshow@gmail.com or just tweet at ARIYNBF. We will be revisiting this topic because I need to. But listen, I don't want to, incur the wrath of you guys, but I would order just vanilla because I like the novelty of the twist. But I feel like I know what I'm saying is very controversial, but when you mix chocolate and vanilla together, the whole thing becomes chocolate flavored.
Oh, you and my kid. Wow. I just took him to get yogurt at one of those many yogurt shops and he goes, next time I'm just going to get plain vanilla. Yeah.
I hear that. And I feel that too. Now, why Arizona? Were you in, where were you before Arizona?
We were in Minneapolis. I was in Minneapolis for most of my adult life and most of my childhood too. I left for college. I lived in New York for a little bit and then I moved back home and I was like, I'm going to stay for a year. And then I fell in love with Aaron and I was there forever. And then I met Matthew and he had kids who were in school and I was like, shit, now we're really stuck. Now we're really stuck. Now we're really here. But I am too depressed for the Midwest. I truly can't do it.
I get it.
It's so hard. Tony, where'd you grow up?
Michigan. But I've also spent a ton of time in Minneapolis.
Yeah. A lot of gray days, a lot of snow.
Oh, yeah.
And so cold. And
you meant for the weather. I thought you meant you're too depressed for the attitude of the people there.
Oh, no, I think a lot of them are depressed too.
Okay.
But it's like a part of the stoicism. People are like, we love winter. We're going to embrace it. And I'm like, I would just wilt. I would just wilt every winter and it just got harder and harder and harder. And then frankly, a large part of it is too, like, it is hard to be in a city where a lot of really wonderful, beautiful things happen to you, but also every one of the worst things in your life happen there too. Every single one and every version of myself is sort of there, except this one. And Aaron's family lives here in Arizona. Oh. So we knew people, right? We knew people here. I'm looking out at a blue sky. It would have been lovely to move to LA. Financially, it was not feasible whatsoever. So glad we didn't do that, or the pandemic would have hit and we would have been like, oh.
Yeah.
So Arizona was like it just kind of made sense. It just kind of made sense. Our kids really like it. Our oldest goes to ASU. So it's every boy's dream to have his family follow him. Okay.
How did he take it?
He was like, okay. We got in-state tuition. Okay. We got him in-state tuition. So he's actually very grateful because he's not going to have college debt.
Right. So yeah, there are some benefits to having your parents there, but I can also be like, Yeah. I remember, this is not at all the same, but I was going to New York for CMJ. Tony, did you ever do CMJ? Do you know what that is?
Yep.
It's like when I came of age, there was South by Southwest and CMJ. These were the two big music festivals. And CMJ is no more. And CMJ was in New York and South by Southwest was in Austin. So I wrote about music. I was going to New York for CMJ. And I was going to stay at my grandmother's apartment, at which she was not in at that point. And then my whole family decided they were also going to come to New York at the same time. And then it turned, instead of it being like an Allison in the big city thing, it was just now I'm just on vacation with my parents. But I suppose there were some benefits of it. But
yeah, so you didn't pay for dinner.
That's right. Right. There was a lot of free food is what there was. But it was, not quite the independent trip I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, he has his independence. He did happen to finish high school and start college in 2020. So he was online, starting college online, living in this house.
The one you're in, or like he was
in this room. Yeah. And, because it was literally the day before he was set to move into the dorms, and he was on TikTok, and he was like, getting served TikToks of kids moving into the dorms and being like, this is so miserable. It's just one kid a room, every other room, every other floor. The food gets delivered to you. We don't even get to go to the cafeteria, just stuff like that. And he was like, I don't want to do that. I think it would be bad for me.
Yeah.
So it was good awareness, good self-awareness.
I bet having you guys there for that was like actually ideal.
I mean, I will always think that. But he loves it. He loves college, and he's doing really well. And I don't know. We haven't shoveled anything in 3 years. And of course, I miss my family, but it also is really nice to kind of build something that's yours and your family's, like in a whole new place, completely out of context.
My husband, the one that you're like from our quiz earlier, he grew up in Tucson, and his mother still lives there. So I don't know Arizona that well, but I've gotten to know Tucson a little bit, and like I totally get the Arizona thing.
I love the desert. It could be any desert. Like I love, like the Palm Springs area, just for like, I love the feel of the desert. I just like that. I like desert air. I feel like I'm a lizard, and maybe that's why, but I really do like it a lot. And we live in, like, Phoenix is cool. Okay, I'm just going to say, anytime I tell someone I live in Phoenix, they're like, and I think they think that it's all brown McMansions, and that is Chandler. Okay, that's Gilbert you're thinking of. That's Mesa you're thinking of.
Are those places close to Phoenix, though?
Yeah, I think they're suburbs. And I've tooled around them. I get it. Like there's a lot of like developments, right, where every house is like vague shades of brown. And a lot of people love that style. And I think that's great if you do. But I could not live in a neighborhood where every house was like identical, was like just an option of a floor plan. Like I get really turned around very easily in neighborhoods like that. And it's like kind of unsettling to me. Like I was in a suburb in like Minnesota when I was a kid, and I was like visiting one of my cousins, and we went next door to his friend's house, and it was the same house. And I was so shocked. I was like, oh, like,
yeah.
Like,
yes. Growing up, we lived in a I don't know, tract or whatever, where there were like 5 different styles of house. And at this point, my parents are still in this place, every house, not theirs, but like every other house has been like remodeled. And so now everything every house is a snowflake. But growing up, it was always weird to go to a friend's house and be like, oh my God, this is our house. But it's like flipped around.
Yeah.
It's the other side of the L. It's very strange.
Yeah. You don't have the goose wallpaper. You've got the sunflower wallpaper.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like, and they my mom would say like, oh, this actually it's the same model as our house, but it looked totally different because they had like knocked out a wall or anyway.
Yeah.
Fun with architecture. Let's do Just Mirror Everyone. Now, let me just say, I am on Patreon. Yeah. Patreon.com/Allison Rosen. All sorts of fun stuff there. Outtakes. Behind the scenes content. There's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. You can get videos of the Thursday show, sometimes, often. And if not, if we haven't done it on Zoom, then I take, like, while we're recording, I take little videos. And also you can get episodes of The Friend Zone, which is my Patreon bonus podcast. And Nora is going to be on The Friend Zone. And there's been things that I've been wanting to talk to her about during this episode. But in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm going to put those on the Patreon.
And your mind will remember those, Allison?
Yeah, I think maybe.
God.
We'll see. We'll see. If I get nervous, no, though. That's where I start. Like, if all of a sudden I get a shot of adrenaline inside and then I'm like, oh, what were they? In fact, I got to make a note here. I'm just going to give a little tease. There are some words that you and I have bonded over both hating.
Ooh.
So that, but then also I need to ask about Disport, and because you have an essay about that.
Yep.
And I know that you've mentioned it before. I need to ask about all of that, and I have some things. So we're going to get into
just
all
in
of
case
that.
You forget.
Thank you very much. Okay. So patreon.com/Allison Rosen. If you do an annual subscription, you get 2 months free. Normally I would take questions here. We're going to push those into the friend zone. So let's do just me or everyone.
Is it just me or everyone?
All right. Nora, do you have a just me or everyone?
I do. When, on the rare occasion, right, where I interact with or see a police officer, I immediately think, oh no, I did a crime and forgot about it. Did I robbed a bank and forgot about it, and they're here to get me. I killed a person and they're here to talk to me about it. 2 cops walked up to our house a couple days ago and I literally was like, oh no, what did I do? I did a crime. I'm like, it's over for me. Like, what was it? Like, what did I do? They were looking for like some wild youth that had been roaming our streets because a neighbor had called to complain.
What's a ute?
A youth.
Oh,
A youth. Yes.
You just did a My Cousin Vinny there, Allison.
A youth.
I thought it was some kind of animal I haven't heard about, and I got excited.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I was like, kids? I was like, I guess I have some. Like, what are I was like, is that wrong? Should I not have kids? Am I getting arrested because I have kids? Like, what did I do? And just one pulls up next to me. I'm like, it's over. I don't know why. Was I speeding? Absolutely not. If anything, I was probably driving too slow.
Yes.
Immediately, I'm like, I'm going away. I see a cop. I'm turning myself in.
I don't think that's just you. I don't think that's just you at all. I don't know that I have it. I don't know that it goes that far. But like when I walk through, a metal detector and nothing goes off, I'm like, oh, phew. And then I remember but I didn't have anything on, I'm not hiding. Yes. There's nothing in my butt. Or same with with cops. I think everyone gets a little nervous around cops though.
Yeah. Or like the TSA when they wipe your hands with explosives. I'm like, I don't know, guys.
It used to always go. So when I was doing IVF, trying to get pregnant, I went through a phase, or doing egg, before that, when I was doing all the egg retrievals and stuff, I went through a phase where I did not want to walk through the scanner machine. And if you ask them for, if you say I want to opt out, then they'll pat you down.
Oh yeah. Very sensually.
They'll be like, I'm now going to take the insides of my hands and rub them along the insides of your thigh. Yeah.
Like, joke's on you because my husband's dead and I like it. Okay.
Yes. But listen, warning to anyone who's doing it. If you're in a rush, don't do it because it takes a while to get the one female TSA
Take the radiation if you have to.
Exactly. And they swipe your hands. Yeah. So as part of it, and the hand swipe thing would always come back bad for me, negative, whatever it is. Like something would go off and then they would have to go through all my stuff. And eventually I realized, I think it was this kind of lotion that I still use all the time, but it has glycerin in it. And I think it was the glycerin in the lotion setting it off. I think. Because now whenever I travel, I don't put that kind of lotion on my hands right before I travel. But it was really
when it went off, were you like, yeah, that tracks. I was doing a crime somewhere. Yeah.
Actually, no, I was always just annoyed. So maybe in that sense,
maybe it is just me.
Yeah.
Maybe it is just me.
When Daniel and I were flying back from Paris, which makes us sound very highfalutin, but it's the one and only time we went. Was it when we had a layover in New York, though? I don't know. All I know is like we were in the line to get on the plane, and then we got pulled out because they had been looking. I mean, it was like, this was scary because I was like, are we going to get on? They were looking for us everywhere. They needed to take us and our carry-ons back to the scanner and like look through everything, which they did. And then they took us back on a golf cart because I think we were like the last ones on the plane. That was weird though to think like, oh, they've been looking for us in this whole airport this whole time.
Yeah.
I thought we were free to go, but we hadn't been free to go. But it was very like quiet. It wasn't, over the loudspeaker. They weren't calling for us. Anyway, that is, and I have a just mirror everyone, which is I received some perfume as a gift when I lived in New York. So how many years ago is this now? A long time ago. And it is still in my bathroom. It was 2 bottles. The brand is fresh, and I like they make good stuff. Yeah. And periodically I smell it, and it smells good, but for some reason it's like doesn't smell right for me to wear it. I mean, it's still good, but I just can't. I don't know. I don't like it enough to want to wear it. But I have now brought it with me on every single move because they're pretty little bottles. And I can't see myself throwing them out. So I keep them because the perfume bottles are pretty and I like how they look, even though I am never going to wear it. Just me or everyone. It's got to be everyone, right?
That one might be just you. But although, I mean, I'm also looking directly into a closet that is filled with things that I have not used, touched, or thought of that I've moved until I move, right? And I moved them all the way down here to do what?
To decide
in that
there,
closet.
yeah. But okay,
yeah. Do
you wear perfume?
I wear 1 or 2 perfumes.
So are those the only bottles you have?
Yeah.
Really?
That's it. But I used to hoard them. I used to hoard them up because I like the way they all looked.
It's so like, look at me, I'm a grown-up lady.
Yeah. And then I just periodically, I will just decide everything must go. Mm-hmm. And I will be clearing stuff out. I will let go of stuff. I will sometimes, there's always home organizers who are like, once you let something go, you never regret it. That's not true. That's not true at all.
So not true. Yeah.
You will forget you got rid of it and be like, son of a, like what? Like, no,
right.
I did not feel that way about the perfume, but I had a bottle of perfume that I literally kept for 10 years and moved to a bunch of places. And it was like dusty. But
yes, these bottles are dusty. Yeah, the bottles are dusty.
They're dusty. Yeah.
I need to just.
But you're like, but someday I might
change my. Yeah. Change how I feel about scents.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, but I did it with lipsticks.
Yes.
Like, it literally doesn't even look good on me, but I'm like, but it could if I knew more about makeup. This could be the one.
Yeah.
Right? It feels bad to put on. Well, maybe you should grow up, okay, and suffer through this lipstick.
There is makeup in my makeup arsenal that is so old. It's so ridiculously old. But then when I go to look for something, I can't find it. So that's the problem with the like proto hoarding is that, yes, I have it somewhere, but I'm going to end up buying something new because I can't find it.
I do that with books too.
I have done that with books. Yes.
And so like in that closet, which I forgot that I'd taken certain books. Oh, certain books will go on the bookshelf in that closet, right? And then I will know, no, you won't. You will look at your other bookcase and be like, I must not have it. No, you do. Well, you have 3 of them.
And then if you buy it on Amazon, it'll let you know you already bought it.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you can go to your bookstore, your local bookstore and buy 4 or 5 copies of the same book. They will not say a word. They're not going to say a word.
Maybe they think you're giving it to your friends.
You're like, wow, she really loves this one.
Let's do, hey, go fuck yourself. Is there anyone that you would like to tell off? or anything.
Oh, a person? A thing?
It could be a person or thing. It really could be anything you want.
Oh, God. Really? Okay. Here's the thing. There's some serious ones, but I think I'm going to choose a lighthearted one right now, which is like wind that blows at you when you have lip gloss on.
Yes!
Don't blow blow towards me. Don't blow my hair into my lip gloss the way that I act as though this element has personally come for me and that that it has hurt me physically when really it's minorly, it's done something sensorially that is
unpleasant, deeply unpleasant.
But to me,
there's never a time that I'm walking into the wind and it's blowing my hair back in a glamorous way. It's somehow if there's any wind, it's always blowing your hair across your lipstick.
Yeah, sideways. It's sideways. It's just so gross, and it's been happening my whole life.
Did you ever?
Why bother?
Did you ever wear MAC lip gloss?
Yes.
The stickiest lip. I mean, such a good gloss, but the stickiest.
And if you got any with pigment, it would leave hair marks on your face, like
totally.
whiskers.
Yes. So I, back in my drinking days, would always. This is so embarrassing. Okay. Imagine like kind of a sloppy gal with a cocktail straw stuck to her hair. Because what would happen is I would get my drink. I would have my little cocktail stirs, which you're not even supposed to drink out of, but I liked to.
I know.
I would have the MAC.
Then why did I give them to you? Why am I stirring my own drink?
Why? Yes.
Okay.
Why give me two tiny straws if they're just for decoration? So I, take a sip of the drink with it was MAC Paramount, which was like a maroon brown with lip glass over it. Take a sip. And then the straws would be coated. And then I'd turn my head and my hair would hit the straws. And then I'd turn my head back and my hair would pull the straws out. And then I would just think they fell out or something. And then some kind person would pick them out of my hair. Always. Like all the time this was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like your 20s, It really is.
Yes. So the wind is who you want. Yeah.
The wind. Not every wind. But the wind I'm talking to knows what they did.
Yeah.
They know who they are. And it's why.
Right.
Hey, wind.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Thank you. I agree. It's been 20 years since I've been in a convertible, but those were also situations where you need to have some kind of like Tippi Hedren, scarf thing.
Yeah. And so few people, I don't know how you wear one of those without having a sweaty head.
Yeah.
like you need the exact right conditions to enjoy a convertible.
This is true.
It's like you need there to be enough sun that you're warm, but not so much that you're sunburned. You need your hair in control, but you don't want to wear it like fully, back, because then what's the point?
Right.
Whenever I see somebody in a convertible wearing a sun hat and sunglasses, I'm like, just put the roof on.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Put the lid on. Okay.
Put the lid on. I'm with you. Yeah. If you work at McDonald's, weigh in on our earlier questions about soft serve. And then if you drive a convertible, weigh in and let us know, do you like it? Or is it just something that you're suffering through now that you bought it?
Yeah. I'm desperate to know that.
Yeah.
I am desperate to know that.
Nora McInerny, it has been so nice having you on the show. I cannot wait to get into all the stuff we're going to get into on the Friend Zone episode, patreon.com/Allison Rosen. But again, the book is Bad Vibes Only and Other Things I Bring to the Table. I know they're going to love it. Where should they get it?
You should get it wherever you like to buy books, you like to buy books. And I say that with like no judgment. And honestly, you can listen to a book. That counts. I do my own audiobooks. I read them and I love doing them. Like some of the best readers are people who are like, where's it the best for you? I'm like, whatever will get you to read a book. I don't care if you get an ebook. I don't care if you get a paper book. I don't care if you get an audiobook, whatever books you like, whatever format of book you like, get it from the library. And like libraries are great, Yeah, wherever you want to get a book is where you should get a book.
Okay, perfect. And tell them where else they can find you and plug whatever you would like to plug.
Oh, you can hear my podcast, Terrible Thanks for Asking, wherever you get podcasts, unless I've somehow not pushed a button and it's not where you get podcasts, in which case, who knew? And I don't know how to make it happen. Okay. And I'm on Instagram, but don't follow me there because I have no idea. There's not like a consistent theme. I should say I'm offering you nothing there. Nora Borealis is my handle because I'm an internet user from that era. Right, of the screen name era.
Where we had fun names. God, it was so much pressure to come up with a name back then. It's like, in a way, it's kind of a weight off that it's now you just want it to be your name, I think.
I know. And I always think it's so like sophisticated when someone's like, oh, it's just my name. I'm like, oh yeah, no, me too. Like,
Tony, where might we find you?
Twitter and Instagram at
Tony Thaxton.
And Bizarre Albums every Tuesday, wherever you get podcasts.
And if you like what you're hearing, or even if you don't, please make sure you're subscribed. Leave us a review. Click 5 stars. Tell your friends. Subscribe on YouTube as well, youtube.com/Alison Rosen. And follow me on social media at Alison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm the Alison Rosen on TikTok. And also check out Childish. That is my parenting-ish podcast that I do with Greg Fitzsimmons. Nora, thank you so much.
Was all that from your brain? You didn't have that written down somewhere? You just knew all that about yourself?
Yeah, but I do mess it up sometimes.
Okay.
For sure, yeah.
You just asked me about myself, and I was like, I don't know where I could be located.
Like,
I should write that down.
Like, I'll say something, and then I'll realize that I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying, and then I'll forget if I did a certain part. So that time it happened in one take, but often it doesn't. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show?